When I speak about growth and becoming a better version of yourself, the very first step I always come back to is self-awareness. Because without self-awareness, life feels like you are moving on autopilot. You wake up, you go through the same motions, repeat the same patterns, and recycle the same days without ever asking yourself why. Self-awareness is the foundation of real change. It is the moment you stop running from yourself and finally turn inward to meet yourself. And when you truly meet yourself, when you slow down long enough to hear that soft, quiet voice within, something powerful happens. You begin to notice the things that have been hidden in plain sight. You start to recognize the habits that drain you, the relationships that no longer honor who you are, and the stories you've been telling yourself that keep you small. So many women spend their lives searching for improvement in all the wrong places. They change their hairstyle, they change their wardrobe, they change their job, sometimes they even change their city, but they never pause to change the way they see themselves. And that is why the same cycles, the same disappointments, the same struggles keep showing up over and over. True improvement begins not with changing the world around you, but with being honest with yourself. And that honesty, it can feel uncomfortable, even painful at times, because it requires you to face the things you've been ignoring. It requires you to admit the truth you've been running away from. Maybe the truth is that you've been settling for less than you deserve. Maybe the truth is that fear has been holding you back. Or maybe the truth is that you've been carrying wounds for years, wounds you never gave yourself permission to heal. But here's the gift. When you shine a light on what is real, you take back your power. Because you can't heal what you refuse to acknowledge. You can't change what you keep denying. Self-awareness is not about judgment. It's not about beating yourself up for the mistakes of the past. It's about noticing. It's about becoming awake to your own patterns and saying to yourself, this is where I am right now. And from here I get to choose where I go next. That right there is freedom. That is the doorway to transformation. I have met so many women who truly believed their lives would improve if only the world around them would change, if only their husband would treat them better, if only their boss would recognize their worth, if only their family would support them, if only luck would finally show up at their doorstep. But the truth is this, nothing truly shifts until you shift inside yourself. You can't wait for the world to validate you. You have to validate yourself. You can't wait for people to hand you permission. You have to give yourself permission. Self-awareness is standing in front of the mirror, not to criticize, not to shame, but to say with courage, this is me, and I am worthy of becoming more. When you know who you are, you stop living by comparison. You stop measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel. You stop letting the world dictate who you should be, and instead you start asking, what feels true for me? What feels real for me? And when you ask that question honestly, that's where your real growth begins. That's where you start designing a life that belongs to you, not a life chained to the expectations of others. And here's something important to understand. Self-awareness is not a one-time revelation. It is a daily practice. Every morning you have to wake up and check in with yourself. You have to ask, am I living in alignment with what I believe? Am I showing up the way I promised myself I would? Am I listening to the voice within me, or am I drowning it out with fear and noise? The more you practice listening to yourself, the stronger your inner guidance becomes. And when that inner guidance grows stronger, stop second-guessing every step you take. You stop begging for approval in places that will never satisfy you. You become steady. You become grounded. You become unshakable. Self-awareness is like flipping on the light in a dark room. At first, you might not like what you see, the mess, the clutter, the things you've neglected. But once you see it, you now have the power to clean it up. And the more you clean, the more space you create for new possibilities. That is what awareness does. It clears the path for growth. So if you truly want to improve your life, don't start by changing what's outside of you. Start by seeing what's inside of you. Be willing to face yourself with compassion. Be willing to tell yourself the truth. Because once you truly know who you are, you will never again settle for less than the woman you were created to be. Now, when we talk about growth, when we talk about real improvement, the conversation always leads us back to discipline. Discipline doesn't look glamorous. It doesn't shine the way motivation does. Motivation is exciting. It's that rush of energy when you decide to start something new, when you tell yourself this time will be different. But motivation doesn't last. It fades the moment life gets heavy, the moment things don't go your way, the moment you don't feel like doing what you promised yourself you'd do. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is what steps forward when motivation walks out. Discipline is the quiet strength that shows up every single day. When nobody is watching, when nobody is clapping for you, when there is no applause, no recognition. And here is the truth. Discipline is an act of love toward yourself. Many people confuse discipline with punishment, as if being disciplined means living a harsh life with no joy. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Real discipline is self-respect. It's you saying to yourself, I believe in myself enough to stay consistent. I believe in my future enough to protect it with the choices I make today. Every time you choose discipline, you are casting a vote for the woman you are becoming. Think of it this way. Every small habit you keep, whether it's waking up early, eating healthier, saving money instead of spending it all, reading instead of endlessly scrolling through your phone. Every one of those habits is like a brick, and discipline is the builder stacking those bricks one by one until you've built a foundation strong enough to hold the weight of your dreams. Without discipline, your foundation crumbles the moment life tests you. And make no mistake, life will test you. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you'll never miss a day or fall short. What it does mean is this: even when you stumble, you don't stay down. You get back up. You recommit. You remind yourself why you started in the first place. Discipline is forgiving yourself for yesterday, but still showing up today. It's not about being the fastest, the strongest, or the most talented. It's about being consistent enough to outlast the excuses that would keep you small. And yes, it's hard. Discipline will often demand that you do the very thing you least want to do, at the very moment you least want to do it. It will ask you to keep walking when you are tired, to keep pushing when the results are nowhere in sight, to keep believing even when nothing seems to be happening. But if you can hold on, if you can stay faithful to the process, discipline will reward you in ways motivation never could. Motivation gives you a spark, but discipline gives you transformation. Think about the women you admire most, the women you look up to and say, she has built something extraordinary with her life. It's not because they were lucky every single day. It's not because opportunities simply fell into their laps. It's because in the quiet, unseen hours, they kept showing up. When she was tired, she still kept showing up. When she was afraid, she still stood her ground. Discipline gave her the strength to keep walking forward, even when her emotions whispered that she should give up. And here's the powerful truth about discipline. It builds trust. Not trust in the world, not trust in whether others will stay or leave, but trust in yourself, in your own word, in your own promise. When a woman says, I will do this, and then she shows up and does it again and again, she begins to believe in her own strength. She starts building a faith in herself that cannot be shaken. And that trust, that unshakable belief in your own consistency is priceless. Because once you know you can depend on yourself, you stop being afraid of what life might throw at you. You carry an inner anchor. You carry a quiet strength. So don't wait for the perfect day. Don't wait until fear disappears. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start today with one small promise to yourself. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to require you to show up, even on the days you don't feel like it. And then tomorrow, show up again. And the day after, show up again. Because discipline isn't built overnight. It grows in the quiet rhythm of repetition, in the ordinary moments when no one else is watching. And one day you'll look at yourself and realize you have become the very woman you once dreamed of being. One of the most beautiful ways a woman can rise higher is by committing to never stop learning. And I don't mean only classrooms, certificates, or degrees. I mean shaping a mindset where every single day becomes a chance to expand who you are. Life itself is a teacher, but you have to be willing to remain a student. Too many women stop learning when they finish school, when they settle into work, when they get caught in daily routines. They begin to think, I already know enough. But the moment you stop learning, you stop growing. And the moment you stop growing, you begin living the same year on repeat, calling it a life. Learning is not about stacking up information. It's about awakening curiosity. It's about being open. It's about being brave enough to see things differently. When you read a book that challenges the way you think, when you listen to someone whose perspective is unlike your own, when you try something new that stretches you beyond your comfort, you are not just gaining knowledge, you are expanding your soul. And the more you expand, the more the world opens up to you. Think about how many doors remain closed for women simply because they never took the time to learn something new. Think of how many opportunities slip away because someone said, that's not for me, I don't understand it, instead of saying, let me try, let me grow, let me learn. Learning is not about being the smartest, it's about humility. It's about admitting you don't know everything and being hungry enough to go after what you don't yet understand. And here's the beauty. Continuous learning doesn't just change what you know, it changes who you are. Every lesson, every skill, every piece of wisdom adds another layer to your strength. It sharpens your vision, it deepens your compassion, it makes you more resilient. Because when you learn, you don't just collect knowledge, you collect perspective. And perspective is what allows you to face challenges with clarity instead of panic. I've met women who said, I'm too old to start learning something new. And I always remind them, as long as you are breathing, you are capable of growing. Wisdom has no expiration date. Some of the most inspiring women I've ever known picked up new passions later in life. They dared to learn again when the world told them it was too late. And every single one of them found joy in the process. Because learning reignites that spark we all had as little girls, the spark of curiosity. It reminds us that the world is vast, filled with wonders and lessons waiting to be discovered. And learning doesn't only come from books or formal teachers. It comes from paying attention. It comes from listening closely to the people around you. It comes from watching life unfold. It comes from reflecting on your mistakes and your victories. Every heartbreak carries wisdom. Every failure hides a lesson. Every success teaches you something about what works and what doesn't. The key is to slow down long enough to notice the lessons. And the more you commit to learning, the more you'll see that growth has never been about competing with another woman. It has always been about becoming a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. When you wake up with the heart of a student, you carry less pride and more openness, less judgment and more understanding. You begin to realize that every woman you meet knows something you don't. And if you're willing to listen, you can learn from her. That kind of humility builds connection, and connection creates growth. So if you truly want to step into your best self, stay curious, be a lifelong learner, read the books that stretch you, ask the questions that make you feel vulnerable, try the things that scare you. Don't settle for the comfort of what you already know, because the more you learn, the more you grow, and the more you grow, the more you discover that your potential has no ceiling. But here's something important. If there is one thing that will either lift a woman higher or slowly drain her until she feels empty, it's the energy she carries and the energy she allows around her. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is sacred, because your energy determines how you think, how you speak, how you act, and ultimately how you live. And not everyone and not everything deserves access to it. Too many women give their energy away freely. They pour it into relationships that bring only chaos. They argue with people who will never change. They stay in places that suffocate their spirit. And then they wonder why they feel tired, why they feel stuck, why they feel invisible. Protecting your energy is about becoming intentional with what you let into your life. Notice how certain people leave you feeling. Notice how certain places shift your mood. Notice how certain habits either feed your spirit or drain your joy. Your energy is like a garden, and if you don't protect it, weeds will grow. Weeds of negativity, weeds of comparison, weeds of distraction. Protecting your energy means planting seeds of peace and pulling out the weeds of doubt and fear. Sometimes protecting your energy means saying no, and for many women, saying no is the hardest thing, especially if they have spent their lives trying to please everyone. But every yes you give to something that drains you is really a no to yourself. And you cannot keep saying no to yourself and expect to thrive. There is nothing wrong with creating boundaries. Boundaries are not cold walls, they are doors. They decide who and what is allowed to come in. They protect the peace you are building inside. And it's not just about people, it's also about what you feed your mind. What are you listening to every day? What voices fill your thoughts? If you surround yourself with noise, with criticism, with constant comparison, your energy will show it. But if you fill your mind with truth, encouragement, and wisdom, your energy becomes calm, strong, and clear. Protecting your energy also means guarding your focus, because where your focus goes, your energy flows. And let's be honest, protecting your energy doesn't mean avoiding responsibility or running from every challenge. Life will always bring storms, but when your energy is protected, you face those storms from a place of strength instead of exhaustion. You respond with wisdom instead of reacting in fear. You move with intention instead of being pulled in every direction. When you protect your energy, you protect your strength, your peace, and your ability to show up as the woman God created you to be. Sometimes protecting your energy means stepping back, even from people you deeply care about. That doesn't mean you stop loving them. It simply means you've realized that their energy, their words, or even their habits are not in alignment with the life you are trying to build. And when you make that choice, it doesn't only help you, it helps them too, because the best gift you can ever give to anyone, whether it's your children, your partner, your friends, or the world, is the version of you that is whole, steady, and filled with peace. Improvement is not only about gaining more knowledge, chasing more goals, or filling your days with endless achievements. It is also about guarding the light within you, because if your light is constantly dimmed by negativity, by constant criticism, or by giving too much of yourself to people who only take, then no matter how much effort you put in, you will always feel like something is missing. But when you guard your light as a woman, when you choose wisely where that light shines and who gets to stand near it, that light begins to glow stronger. And when your light shines brighter, it not only uplifts you, it lights the way for other women, for your family, for the next generation watching you. So if you truly want to rise higher, my sister, you must guard your energy. Protect it as if your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it truly does. One of the most powerful qualities a woman can carry if she wants to grow is resilience, and right beside it, patience. Because no matter how carefully you plan your life, no matter how much effort you put into your dreams, life will always find a way to test you. Things will not always go the way you thought they would. Doors you believed would open may close. People you trusted with your heart may disappoint you. Dreams you prayed for and worked tirelessly toward may take longer than you ever imagined. And in those moments, you will be tempted to quit, to tell yourself that it's just too much, to walk away and shrink back. But resilience, that is what keeps you standing when everything around you is trying to push you down. Resilience does not mean you never cry. It does not mean you pretend nothing hurts. It means you allow yourself to feel the pain, to acknowledge the disappointment, but you refuse to let it define you. Resilience is when a woman says, "Yes, this happened to me, but it will not destroy me. It will not stop me." It is the power to bend but not break, to fall down but not stay on the ground, to rise again even when staying down feels easier. And with resilience comes a deeper wisdom that every setback is not the end. Sometimes it is redirection. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes it is God's way of saying, "Not yet, daughter. I am shaping you for something greater." But resilience alone is not enough. You also need patience. We live in a world that glorifies speed. Everything is instant. Instant answers, instant recognition, instant results. And when success or healing or breakthrough doesn't happen right away, people start to believe they are not enough. They believe their dream wasn't meant to be. But real growth, true healing, and lasting transformation take time. Just like a seed does not become a tree overnight, your life, your dreams, your healing will not bloom overnight either. Patience is what gives you the strength to keep watering the seed, even when you don't yet see a sprout breaking through the soil. Patience is not easy. It demands trust. Trust that even when you cannot see progress, something is happening beneath the surface. Trust that delays are not denials. Trust that every small step, even the ones no one notices, are still carrying you forward. And this kind of trust only grows when you stop comparing your journey to the journey of another woman. The moment you start measuring your life against hers, you lose sight of your own path. Every woman's timing is different. Every woman's process is unique. And patience is the art of embracing your timing without trying to rush what is not yet ready. When resilience and patience come together, a woman becomes unshakable. Resilience whispers, "I will not give up no matter what comes." Patience whispers back, "I will not rush what belongs to me." And together, they form a steady kind of power, the kind of power that cannot be shaken by delays, disappointments, or detours. I have seen so many women give up right before their breakthrough. They prayed, they worked, they sacrificed, they endured the waiting. But when the results did not appear as quickly as they hoped, they stopped. What they did not realize is that often the hardest test of resilience and patience comes right before the blessing is about to be revealed. Do not let frustration rob you of what persistence would have delivered. If you are in a season where everything feels slow, where nothing seems to be moving, do not lose heart. Keep standing, keep working, keep watering your seed, because improvement doesn't always look like a giant leap forward. Sometimes it looks like simply refusing to fall apart. Sometimes it looks like waiting quietly with faith, even when you can't yet see results. And one day, when the timing aligns, everything you carried and everything you endured and everything you waited for will come together in a way that will remind you it was worth it all along. If there is one shift that would completely transform away the decision to live with gratitude and listen the way you see to life with gratitude. Gratitude is not only for the days when life feels perfect, when the sun is shining and blessings are obvious. Gratitude is the ability to see beauty, to see grace, even in the middle of storms. Because the truth is, there will always be challenges. There will always be something you don't yet have. There will always be a reason to complain if you look for one. But gratitude, that is when you choose to focus not on what is missing, but on what is present. Gratitude is when you whisper to yourself, even here, even now, I can still find something to be thankful for. Gratitude changes everything. The moment you shift your eyes toward what you already have, the moment you pause to notice the small gifts in your day, you stop living from a place of lack. You stop waiting for life to be perfect before you allow yourself to feel joy. Gratitude says, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I am thankful for where I am today. And that spirit of thankfulness opens the door for more. Gratitude does not erase pain. It does not mean pretending everything is okay when it is not. What it does mean is that even in the pain, you still search for the light. Maybe the lesson hidden inside the hardship. Maybe the strength you discovered in yourself. Maybe the people who showed up when you needed them most. Gratitude reminds you that even in loss, something remains. Even in struggle, blessings can still be found. Gratitude is not passive. It is not just a fleeting feeling. It is a practice. You must train your mind to notice what is good. You must pause in the middle of your busy day and whisper, thank you. Thank you for the breath in my lungs. Thank you for the food on my table. Thank you for the people who love me. Thank you for another chance to try again today. Women who live with gratitude carry a different strength. When life tries to break them, they don't focus on what was taken. They focus on what is still here. Gratitude gives you resilience because it gives you a reason to keep moving forward. It keeps you rooted in peace, even when the future feels unclear. It connects you to the goodness of life so you never lose sight of hope. Gratitude also changes the way you love others. When you live thankful, you stop expecting perfection from the people in your life. You stop focusing on their flaws and begin to appreciate their presence, their effort, their love. Gratitude deepens bonds because it replaces entitlement with appreciation. And nothing strengthens relationships more than being seen, valued, and appreciated. So many women think happiness will arrive once they achieve something big. Getting the dream job, the perfect home, or the recognition they long for. And while those things can bring joy, the truth is, lasting happiness is built on gratitude. Because once the newness of those things fades, gratitude is what keeps your heart full. Gratitude is what allows you to wake up every single morning, look at your life and whisper, I already have enough reason to be thankful today. And when you live this way, with gratitude as your foundation, you stop chasing happiness. You start creating it. You stop waiting for someone or something outside of you to complete you. You realize you are already whole. Gratitude becomes not just a practice, but a way of living. And when you live with gratitude, you will always find yourself standing in abundance, no matter what life brings.